Hello beautiful person, this is Anton, and in today's video we're going to be continuing our Python mini tutorials and talk about strings, integers, and floats, all three together at the same time. These are the essential, most crucial blocks of any Python program and pretty much any programming language, so you do have to know what they actually mean and what they are in a nutshell. We're going to start with strings, which is really kind of, I guess, the basic one, but it's also the one that sometimes gets a little bit confusing based on the notations. So we're going to create a new window here, and let me show you what is not a string. This is not a string. This is a code window, and right now I wrote something, and if I run this, it's going to give me an error. It's called syntax error. That's because the Python programming language right now does not know what this is. If, however, I add quotations here, this is now a string. So what's the difference? The idea here is that anything inside quotation marks, whether it be single or double quotation marks, will become a string. And in a nutshell, string is any kind of sort of readable text that you can use for displaying to people. Now, normally strings are actually a type of a variable that can actually be then converted to other variables, but most often than not, whatever's inside those quotation marks basically becomes mostly used for humans, not so much for computers. One thing about strings though is that you actually want to keep your quotation marks consistent, because if you change, this is a double, this is a single, it will not work anymore. So I have to keep either both single or both double. I'll explain later on why. So that's a string. Let's go with an integer, and these are really easy. This is an integer. This is also an integer. This, however, is not. Now, what is the difference? Basically, integer is a whole number. That's really all there is to it. Any number that is does not have decimals, any number that does not have quotations is an integer. And these are important for things like counting, for example, counting new loops or figuring out how many times something happened. So that's integers. And floats are more often used in actual, more precise math. So these are really what we're going to be using when we need to calculate something. So it's kind of like an integer, but it has a decimal. So this right now is a float. Once again, integer, float. So here is 1 as an integer, and here is 1 as a float. So this right here is a float, and this is an integer. The actual names are kind of important to, I guess, remember, because sometimes I'll be saying like, okay, we're going to be using the float here, and if you don't remember what it means, it just means a decimal point, but just the idea of floats is really important later on, especially in other computing languages where these can actually cause problems or errors if you don't use the right type. For now though, that's really all there is to it. That's integers, strings, and floats, and hopefully you learned something from this video. Consider supporting the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay beautiful, stay wonderful, stay amazing. See you tomorrow. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.